This is the High School Football America podcast for September the 5th, 2024. I'm Jeff Fisher, and on this podcast, we're going to take you back to September the 4th, 2004, 20 years ago, and talk with Butch Goncharoff, the head coach then of the Bellevue Wolverines in Washington, who shocked the world, taking down De La Salle's 151-game win streak. We're going to talk to Coach coming up, and it's a modern-day conversation. We're not going all the way back to 2004. We're just going to reminisce with Coach Goncharoff about that night that was played in an NFL stadium in front of nearly 25,000 fans. The High School Football America podcast is brought to you by First Place Spiritwear, the official outfitter of High School Football America. And if you haven't been listening to me on the podcast here over the last several months, you're not aware just yet of how First Place Spiritwear is reinventing, revolutionizing fan gear at the high school level. You can call it spiritwear, whatever the words are you use, but they have an incredible thing that they're doing. And I'll tell you what, for 20 years, and this is our 20th anniversary at High School Football America, I have been bombarded with requests to partner with garment companies that they don't have what First Place Spiritwear has, which is one, they do what they say they're going to do, and they have awesome customer service. That is the first thing with me. And as far as what they have going on right now, they have an up-and-running store for every high school football program in America. That's right. You can go on to firstplacespiritwear.com and see what your school's store already looks like. But if you partner with them, you're going to be able to put your logo up there and get some customized stuff. They give you a Fanatics-like experience. If you're not familiar with Fanatics, they've been doing it at the NFL and college level for years, and now they're bringing it to high school for you. You're going to love what you get there. It's hassle-free. It's going to take a lot of work off of your plate, coaches, and that goes for, administrators and booster clubs as well, because they're going to get rid of ordering windows, right? And we all know with BSN's fan club, that's what you have. You got a couple of weeks, and then you wait several weeks, maybe a couple of months before you get your stuff. Not with First Place Spiritwear. It's going to ship directly to the person that orders it to their home within days. That's right, days. Now, everything's online, 100% online. No more collecting money. No more managing inventory. No more handing out inventory. It's all done for you, and they even give you marketing material like graphics and just text that you can put into your email list and just bang away, and you can go back to doing what you do best, which is coach. The stores are open 24/7, 365 days a year, and here's the great thing, they're giving you money too back on your sales that go directly into your fundraising budget. 10% on all sales go to you. That's incredible, right? And during the off season, they will give you even more, up to 50% off. You can't beat this. And they also give you discount coupons for their codes, actually. $10 off, and that goes to your coaching staff, to your players, to your, it's all there for you. You cannot believe what they do for you. And they carry the brand names like Nike, Adidas, and Champion. I would advise you to go back a couple of months ago and listen to my interview with Mike Meadows, the president and CEO. Mike and his wife Connie founded First Place Spiritwear, and it is just going gangbusters. Every coach I've turned on to First Place Spiritwear is thanking me that I did that, but Mike and Connie are dealing day to day in the operation of their company. That means you get quality customer service. You're going to get your phone call returned. It's all there for you. You will not be disappointed. Check them out at firstplacespiritwear.com. That's the number one, ST Place, spiritwear.com. Make it easier on yourself when you're on High School Football America. Why don't you just click on the banner ad that's located on every page of highschoolfootballamerica.com. We're also presented today by GameStrat, as we've been for the last 5 years. They're on board with us. They are America's premier sideline instant replay system with outstanding reliability and faster speed than Huddle Sideline, And there have been hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of coaches that have made the switch, and like the coaches I turn on to First Place Spiritwear, they thank me that they learned about GameStrat through High School Football America, because their customer service is A+++, and they've got a great connection that stays strong throughout the game. The video transfers instantly, seamless video controls, video telestration, play filtering, all there. Takes about 10 minutes to set up. It's so easy. Plus, GameStrat has that awesome customer service, so when you need them, they are there for you. Trust me, I've had some coaches say, we had a few things we didn't do it right, and we called them, and they fixed it right like that. And they have a different plan for every budget that you have out there. So make sure you call them and mention High School Football American. You'll get a friends and family discount. Now, to get that demo, go to GameStrat.com or click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. Joined today by Butch Goncharoff, the guy who 20 years ago, along with his football program in the state of Washington, the Bellevue Wolverines, snapped what I believe to be maybe the most amazing streak in all of sports. Any level, high school, pro, you name it, they snapped De La Salle's 151-game win streak. I said that right. If you're not a big high school football fan, it was 151 straight. And Coach is here to relive 20 years ago. Coach, thanks for taking the time with me today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so 20 years. We were reminiscing before I rolled the tape here. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but when you think back, what comes to your mind about that evening?
A few things. I think, really proud of my kids, proud of how we the work that we put in going into it. It was really a strange event, how the game kind of came together and what people kind of expected. I remember we had that at, I think it's called CenturyLink now, Seahawks Stadium, beautiful outdoor. I think it was like the first outside major event in that stadium outside of the Seahawks. And, 35,000 people or something like that. It was great. And, nobody was there to watch us play, and nobody was there expecting us to win. So I think really just kind of I remember going in the stadium thinking, yeah, this is one of those moments. You're kind of like, this is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So you said it was interesting how it came together. How did the game come off? Because, we've got a lot of, out of state, interstate, whatever you want to call them.
Sure.
But back then, that was kind of a unique thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of a unique story. There's a gentleman, tremendous man named Herb Mead, and so Herb was a big follower of the UW and a big follower of Bellevue football, and sort of a mentor of mine. And I don't know what we were a pretty up and rising program. We had won 3 straight state titles, but we were not like a known program. So kind of as the story goes, Herb, I got a call like 11 o'clock on a night, and Herb, and it was my wife Jill goes, Herb's on the phone. He says, got to talk to you right now. So, and I pick up the phone, I go, Herb, what's going on? It's late. And he goes, hey, we're going to play De La Salle. And I'm like, what? I mean, Herb, come on, So he goes, I think that he knew a gentleman, I think, that owned the Oakland A's at that time, who was a huge De La Salle fan. And they were chatting, and it was De La Salle this and De La Salle that. And Herb had said, I got a guy up in Seattle that I'll put against your guy, and we'll play, and we'll see what we can do. And I think they were more like, are you kidding me? I've never even heard of that. Does Washington even play football, Northwest football? So I think things kind of fell together. And of course, we had a meeting with the kids, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, we want to play. And I had made the decision, like, listen, I don't want to just play the game. If we're going to play the game, we want to compete. We may not win, but this isn't just a feel-good story of let's look at that. We want to, we want to go into it and compete. And if you're not in on that, then that's what we want to do. So it kind of went back and forth a little bit. And then it came to how are we going to do the game? The WIA got involved in their kickoff classic, and I think they realized it was going to be a huge financial deal for them. And so all that stuff was kind of outside of me, but that's how it kind of came together, I guess.
Interesting.
In my version, Bob Laddiser, Bob might have a different version of it, but that's how it came together for me. So,
hey, 20 years goes by, the memories do fade a little bit, but I know that victory didn't fade. That's for sure. Coach, one of the things that always comes up or came up during that streak, right, was the offense that De La Salle.
Sure. Yeah.
you guys weren't a stranger to that offense, right? It's a tough one to prepare for. You got a week and all that, but you guys knew how to run the football like that. So I'm assuming that maybe prep was a little bit easier going in, or am I wrong about that?
Not really. I think what was kind of interesting is when the game happened, sort of locked myself in a room for weeks on end. And I read everything there was on De La Salle. I read the books. I read Neil Hayes' book. I read everything Bob had ever done as far as stuff. And what I kind of came to realize was these programs are kind of similar in an odd way. I mean, yes, we were both extremely successful, but what we really kind of put forth with kids off the field, I mean, kind of it was eerie in some ways. So even down to the offense, I mean, split back veer. Not many people were on split back veer. Wing T is a big deal. People run it, but it wasn't the offenses that they ran. It was how each program ran it. The speed in which we played, the speed in which they played. It's hard to simulate, right? It's hard to simulate in practice. So I think what makes De La Salle so special was not the offense, it was the execution and the attention to detail and the little things. And obviously the offensive line play, that was probably the one thing we took from them going, we probably played, you can call it faking. We would call it play without the ball, like as good as anybody. And their ability to come off the line of scrimmage. So we kind of took that from them and we started doing a little bit of that and really coming off a little bit. So the speed of which both offenses, and it's tough on high school kids. It's responsibility football. And, when good kids, everything looks great in practice. You get under the lights and the band's playing and everybody's rolling and then assignments kind of go. So that was a tough deal. James Hasty did a great job. And, he was I think he became we're going to make this really simple, but really execute at a high level. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, 276 yards and 3 touchdowns. I had to go back and look some things up. And one of the things that popped out at me that I had not remembered, yeah, we knew Hasty had a big game, but your quarterback.
Sure, yeah.
Let's talk about him and how that
Well, that was kind of a unique deal because we had gone to Eric Block. He's 14 years old, so going to that game. So there we had a young man named Stephen England, was an incredible athlete. He ended up being drafted in MLB, and he was a great kid, athletic. But we had gone through spring ball and camp at Fort Worden, and I was watching the film and I remember walking in the staff meeting going, "Hey, I'm going with Block." And there was silence. This kid's 14 years old, but he didn't play like a 14-year-old. It wasn't that it was his age. He knew it wasn't too big for him. And B, he knew how to just deal the cards and execute. We didn't ask him to be the guy, but we did ask him to be a huge complementary piece. The one thing we didn't throw the ball very well. I don't think we completed a pass that game, but it wasn't going to be that style of game. We knew that if we were going to beat them, we had to beat them kind of playing like them, and we had to create a 4-quarter game and really make it a 3-quarter game and create mismatches around. And Eric played off. Everybody played off J.R. Hasty. I mean, J.R. was a tremendous young man, and he was an incredible young man. But he was a great football player. And in our offense, he was special, and we moved him kind of all over and played off. I mean, the whole game really played off him. So Thomas Zafino, Keith Rosenberg, Eric Block, they all got their yards. Really got him off JR though, and JR had his deal, but it was good. Really, I think it was up front that was a big game for us. I mean, our guys were. We had Steve Schilling, who was obviously outstanding, but it was a unique group of guys. I think Connor Merlini was a wingback when he was younger and playing guard. Ryan Roeder was our other guard, and he was a quarterback on the freshman team, and Mark Farney was a undersized 180-pound linebacker, and those guys, but they played, they came off the ball and played hard.
Comes back like it was yesterday.
Sure does.
Seattle Times, when I again read that story, said you did not attempt a pass. Wasn't even that you didn't complete; you didn't attempt one. It said in the story.
I think it became. I don't even know if we had that many in the game plan. We probably had a couple shot plays in. I know we did, but at the point in time where we were, I mean, I think the detailed thing is, as a play caller calling that game, is we didn't get off script really to the third quarter,
No.
and we didn't attempt a punt in that game. I don't believe we punted in that game, or if we did, and like I said, we had dove into them pretty deep. We knew when they were going to blitz, knew when they were going to, what their base was, when they were going to roll coverage. It was, if we got up, what were they going to do? That was when it got a little interesting.
Yeah. And as you said, you went in, expecting not only to compete, but win this game. At what point, though, does it click in when you're calling plays and you're in the heat of it all that, hey, we got a shot to snap this thing?
I think it's everybody. A lot of people ask that question, and I don't think I ever talked that much really about the streak. Okay. It was more about the game and enjoying the moment and being in it. And I think the thing is we took it play by play, and we knew pretty well the players would come to the sideline and go, hey, they're doing exactly this and exactly that. They're in their over front, and that backer's reading the halfback. So let's do this. So they knew they were dialed in. I felt pretty good. I felt pretty good in the second quarter that this was going to be an interesting thing for them, because I've seen it before. They were, I think for them, I think what shocked Bob and them, I think probably was not the offense. They'd seen the wing tee 1,000 times, but the speed in which we were going, I think it was similar to playing them, that they hadn't seen it. So I think, and we could tell they're disciplined eyes create disciplined feet, and their eyes were all over the place on defense. And I think that we felt pretty confident if we didn't, penalties and turnovers, this was going to be a chance for us in the fourth quarter.
You mentioned Coach Ladouceur, one of the greats of all time. I mean, his
probably the greatest. I mean, a lot of people debate it, but I'm like, listen, this guy.
Yeah, you're right.
What he's done. I mean, he's special, and like I said, if you really study him, and I've studied him, a lot of people study the football end of it, but it's what they do with their kids off the field. That you can see they create trust, and the whole program from Edson to him and Alan, all those guys, that you could tell watching it and really diving into it that these guys were pretty special.
Yeah, I had the pleasure when they were doing the Dog and Pony show for When the Game Stands Tall, the movie. I was talking to Diesel, and he sat there in the same room, Coach Ladd did, and Terry during that interview. It was really a lot of fun. Do you remember what you said to Coach when you guys meet at the center of the field? I mean, you snapped, like I said, I believe it may be the greatest streak in sports. Do you remember that conversation at all?
No, I just, not really 100%. I'm sure I told them what to run and congratulated their kids, and their kids were down, obviously. And I think it was just there was definitely respect on our end. I think when the game ended, there was mutual respect on both ends. And so, it was an honor to play those guys. And like I said, he was a great man, and we had a good conversation, but I can't recall word for word what we said, but it was a cool moment. So
what about your team? Do you remember what you said as you gathered around? I don't know if you were in the locker room or still out in the field. Do you remember that at all?
I just remember telling them, that this is kind of what, nobody expected us to win. Everybody, all 30,000 people came there to see De La Salle and see us lose, but we had gone in with a plan, and, it started in the weight room. We knew we had to outwork them. I mean, what they do off the field is, legendary. So we knew we had to at least match that. And, to do that as a group and have not a lot of egos and to match that, it was just sort of pride. I mean, yes, we won the game, but I was proud. I was, when we left Fort Ward, we go to Fort Ward every year, and which is this far and away camp. And it's just us. It's just, and we do it's 2 days, 3 days practice and you're going. When I left camp, I felt like these guys are in for something. So, but how hard these guys worked and how they came together, it was just, something that they'll remember. Not the game, I guess. Everybody was talking about the streak, but I think the relationships and how hard they worked to achieve a goal, that I think was just more pride. It was kind of funny because Neil Hayes, who wrote the book, and don't quote me on this, but he had come up early to kind of preview the game and was watching us practice and going through the stuff. And he was kind of like going, this is really, because I don't think they came in there thinking much of Washington football and us. And I think he was like, Bob, these guys are like looking in a mirror. And I think people have said that afterwards. It was two really similar programs. So there you go.
Right place at the right time.
Yep.
I said it twice or three times now that I believe it's the streak, no matter what sport it's in. Do you have a take on 151 straight where it ranks in all-time streaks?
I mean, what's crazy is it's the thing that people don't appreciate about that is they took on all comers. They played some real football teams. I know that, we had a little mini streak. I don't know if it was 68 or 70 games and I was like, look, that's like 6 more years to go to even think about that. It's impossible what they did, but you can't, it isn't about talent. I've heard coaches say, well, they were just loaded. Well, Long Beach Poly was loaded. Mission Viejo was loaded. Mater Dei was loaded. Everybody you play is pretty good. You can't sustain that level of play unless A, you got complete buy-in by your players, but B, those guys are really good ball coaches. I mean, they don't get enough credit for being how good that they are. And the little things that they do, because I've always said for us, like people say, what's the secret to what you guys did? Listen, you can't sustain something. Talent will only take you so far, in Washington, at least, it's I'll just speak for Washington, state of Washington. You start out as blazing hot, you finish as freezing cold. There's rain in the middle. When you're trying to win games in November in Seattle, and it's, 31 degrees and rain coming down sideways, you have to have a mental toughness and the little things. And De La Salle is a standard for that in high school football. There's a lot of programs. I always think, I look at it this way, and I'm rambling a little bit, that I always say there's two types of coaches. There's coaches that acquire talent, and there's coaches that develop talent. Bob Ladouceur and his crew are the ultimate guys at developing talent, and they develop people as well. And when you watch it, it's like it comes across in film. It's just what they did. You can never say somebody won't break it, but I have a hard time seeing somebody do it and doing it with the class that they did it.
Yeah. I think 110 Independence out of North Carolina was the closest I remember when that streak was insane. I mean, it's just to even get that close was, I thought. And the thing about Coach Ladd too is a lot of people may not remember this, but he stepped down at the peak of talent in that program and turned it over to Coach Allenbaugh as his assistant and all that, and then continued to coach. I mean, that speaks a lot about who that man is. So I think I've covered everything I had written down, but now that you've had, whatever it's been, about 15 minutes of chatting here about it, anything jostle in your brain that I didn't bring up that you wanted to kind of bring up before we go away here?
No, just it was just kind of funny to study them and study us and see how somebody else was playing like we were, obviously at a higher level, but we'd seen a lot of teams play down to the details. It was kind of a Seinfeld bizarro world kind of thing. Like these guys were doing similar stuff to what we were doing. And we had thought we were the only one, but how they were doing it was like nothing anybody had ever seen. So I just think I look back on that group and, our group of players, they were 3 and 7 as freshmen. They were not, we had J.R. Hastings and Steve Schilling and E.J. Savannah and we had some really good players, but we were not loaded with talent. I mean, but as a team, as a unit, how we played, um, and my coaches, Pat Jones, James Hasty, man, all of them down the line, no stone was left unturned. Okay. I'll leave it with this. We have a saying in Bellevue that we call the knowing. When you know you're going to win, when you've done the work. I think when we took the field, everybody on that team knew that we were going that game that night.
Well, Coach, really appreciate you taking the time and going back in the memory bank. Like I said, I didn't figure it was too hard to pull, but it just shocked me when I was looking through our 20-year anniversary and just back in 2004 for us. And I'm like, well, wait a second, there was a pretty big game back then.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. ESPN front deal on the ticker, it was fun. So,
well, thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time with us today.
Jeff, take care. Thank you.
Man, wasn't that an awesome flashback? I mean, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It's one of the first stories that we ever put up on highschoolfootballamerica.com. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go this far to say it wasn't even put up on highschoolfootballamerica.com. It was actually put up on our blogger sites because back then we were known as the High School Football Huddle. Trish Hoffman fixed that in 2009 and said, hey, Fisher, that's not what you need to be called. But anyway, one of the first stories we did when we started doing this, we back in the day, for those of you not familiar with our 20 years and our growth, we began with 51 sites on Blogger, one for each state. It's kind of still like High School Football America, right? Because you can go on High School Football America and get your state-to-state news. So it was sort of like that, and then we had a big national website. So I think they're still out there in the internet universe. You can actually see some of the old stuff there, and we're going to be putting some stuff up as we go through the season, hearkening back to those early days of highschoolfootballamerica.com, a.k.a. the High School Football Huddle. But anyway, Coach Goncharoff really appreciated his time, his chat, and just thinking back to what was, and I said it during that interview, you heard it, I believe it to be the quintessential streak in all of sports. Professional or amateur, it doesn't matter. 151 straight, that's pretty incredible. But anyway, let's get out of here for today. Tomorrow coming up on the show, by the way, we're going to talk with Todd Smith at the Hun School, coming off of a big win. The New Jersey school went to Chicago and took down Mount Carmel, number 38 in the High School Football America 300 preseason rankings. It was a great ball game. Now, it doesn't hurt Mount Carmel as much in the national rankings because the Hun School is a private school, and you'll find out in the coming days here that we're going to be putting out our first ever prep top 25 as we go to the private schools that may have some post-grads. The Hun School doesn't have a lot of post-grads, but they have enough to not allow them to get into the High School Football America 300 powered by NFL Play Football. But we're going to put those schools together into the algorithm and see what we come up with and get you a top 25 probably Monday or Tuesday of next week. Speaking of NFL Play Football, coaches, don't forget to go to playfootball.nfl.com to get some great resources that will help you in the coaching profession. Also brought to you today by GameStrat. Yes, the fine folks at GameStrat have been switching coaches away from Huddle Sideline for years now. Hundreds upon hundreds have made the switch because, you know what? GameStrat has outstanding reliability. The video transfers instantly, and the connection stays strong throughout. They have seamless video controls, video telestration, and play filtering. Set up real easy, only takes 10 minutes, and they have awesome customer service. They pick up the phone when you need them. And they are priced right for every coach's budget, and you can get a friends and family discount if you mention High School Football America when you're talking to the fine folks there. To get a demo, go to GameStrat.com, or you can click on the GameStrat banner ad that's located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. And we want to tell you about First Place Spirit Wear, the official outfitter of High School Football America and our podcast. First Place Spirit Wear has an up-and-running store, fan gear store, for every high school football program in America right now. And you can get it jazzed up when you just partner with them and say, hey, yeah, we want to see what you can do for us. And they'll put your logo in there, and they'll give you amazing designs that look like something you're buying on Fanatics. I mean, if you're not familiar with Fanatics, just let me tell you, they've been dealing with the NFL teams and all the big college teams for years. You're going to get that kind of experience at the high school level, and they are just incredible when it comes to customer service, founded by Mike and Connie Meadows. I can put you in direct contact with Mike, who is the president and CEO, and he will fix you up in a hurry. Now, here's some of the things that are going to go bye-bye for you. A, no more ordering windows. You know what I'm talking about. If you're dealing with BSN's Fan Cloth, you know they have an ordering window, and once that's closed in a couple of weeks, well, then they get around to shipping the stuff out several weeks later, maybe a month or so later. You don't have that with First Place Spiritwear. They're online, which is great, 24/7, 365, but the window is gone. You can have people order throughout the year. It doesn't matter. In season now, you want some rivalry shirts or something, they can do it for you, and then the orders will ship directly to the buyer's home within days. So here's what also goes away. You don't have to collect money, you don't have to take orders, and you don't have to store stuff. No inventory in your garage or coaching office or on your kitchen table, which will tick off people that don't like their inventory taking up their kitchen table space and all that sort of stuff. So that's why you need to go to First Place Spiritwear and check out what they can do for you in season, not just off season. And money goes to fundraising, 10% of all sales. You get that back. They give you $10 gift codes that will save your coaches, staff, and players money on buying their fan gear or spiritwear, depending what you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It's all there for you. It's hassle-free. Check them out. FirstPlaceSpiritwear.com. That's the number one, stplacespiritwear.com. Or just like GameStrat, go to any page on highschoolfootballamerica.com, and you can click on the First Place Spiritwear ad that will take you right to their website. Well, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Flashing back 20 years, like it was yesterday. I'm Jeff Fisher, and you've been listening to the High School Football America podcast.